When she first met Justin, she was in China, a young woman chasing her dreams. She was a dancer, a performer, living in the fast-paced world of music and movements. She had always known that dancing was her passion, and every stage she stepped on felt like her calling. But then again, she met Justin. He was calm, quiet, and grounded, the complete opposite of everything she had known. Where she was loud and expressive, Justin was still and thoughtful. They came from different worlds, different cultures, different backgrounds, but something about him drew her in. He made her feel seen and understood in ways no one had before. Despite differences, they fell in love. They got married in 2017, and shortly after, they moved to the United States. It felt like the beginning of a new chapter, a new adventure of possibilities, but it was also overwhelming. She had to start all over, rebuild her career, and create a new life in a city that felt so different from everything she knew. It was exciting, yes, it was also terrifying. But then came the news. She was pregnant. Becoming a mother changed everything for her. Suddenly, the world she had built around dancing became even more meaningful. She danced through her pregnancy. She even auditioned for So You Think You Can Dance at 6 months pregnancy. But behind the scenes, life was not as glamorous as it seems. While she danced on stage and smiled for the camera, things at home were far from perfect. She and Justin had their differences, cultural differences, emotional distance, and even spiritual disconnection. The marriage, once full of excitement and possibility, was starting to feel like a weight on her shoulders. She even tried to make it work. She bent over backwards to keep the peace. She lost herself in the process, putting her own needs and dreams aside for the sake of her family. But in doing so, she began to feel disconnected from the woman she had once been. The woman who has danced fearlessly, who was one driven by passion and purpose. As time goes on, the pressure grew. The expectations, the judgments, the misunderstandings, it all began too much in 2022. Everything came crashing down. The divorce was public, painful, and messy. People had their own opinion. They judged, they assumed. They didn't know the full story, but here's the truth. She didn't fall. She didn't fail. She chose her peace and chose her children. And she chose to heal, to build her life and find herself again. It wasn't easy. The healing process was long and difficult. There were days when she felt broken, days when she questioned everything, but she kept going for herself, for her daughters, for her future. And despite what the world may have thought, she was proud. Proud that she had the strength to walk away from a marriage that no longer served her. Proud that she chose peace over chaos, growth over stagnation. And as she continues to heal, she is reminded that her story is far from over. This story isn't just hers, it could be anyone's. Every woman who finds herself standing at a crossroad, every woman who ever chooses herself over something or someone else, this is for you. You are allowed to walk away from what no longer serves you. You are allowed to heal. You are allowed to rebuild. And most importantly, allowed to choose. As she looks back on her journey, she finds comfort in a verse from 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9, which says, "But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly of my weakness, so that the power of Christ may rest upon us." In the midst of weakness, there is strength. In the moment of brokenness, God's grace is already enough and is always enough. No matter where you find yourself, remember that God's love and grace will carry you through. Sometimes It's the hardest moment that we find the greatest strength. You are never alone. You are always enough. Subscribe, like, and share this story to someone who needs to listen to this to feel encouraged.